What is going on, guys? Matt Downs with Daily Grind Fantasy Sports to help give you the edge for this NBA playoff 3-game slate on DraftKings. Cannot wait to break it down. If you guys want to be entered into the $25 giveaway that we do every single Friday on our live stream, please like, subscribe, and also comment your favorite GPP play for this slate. If you guys are brand new to this channel, we provide both free and paid content for all daily fantasy sports across all sports. If you could please show your support by hitting that subscribe button, notification bell, and of course smashing that like button for all of our future NBA content. If you would like to know more about becoming a better DFS player and taking down that big GPP, head over to www.patreon.com/DGFantasy for more information. On Patreon, we give advanced cheat sheets for all DFS sports on DraftKings. These cheat sheets include updated projections, ownership, and our overall favorite plays from slate to slate. We take it a step further by teaching you how to play fantasy sports like a shark, by showing you where the best leverage spots are to put you in the best spots to take down tourneys. Also included is our private Discord chat where you get to talk over the slate with everyone, including our coaches, to help build your lineups. Now let's go ahead and dive right into this NBA 3-game playoff slate, but first we have to go over some Patreon success. Personally, I had a blast yesterday. Played MLB on the early slate, main slate, and I also played some CSGO and NBA, and just had a great night overall. Turned the $100 into $600, $50 into $116, $33 into $100, and overall, I think I won 1.4K on DraftKings yesterday. Here's some more screenshots from myself. CSGO, tripled up my money there with a couple contests. We also had a close NHL takedown. I believe this was a $1 contest turned into $10. We had Texans with some more fire here. $16 into $122 on NBA. Also had a close NHL takedown. We had some more SuperDraft success, something else we cover on Patreon for only $20 a month. A quarter contest. This guy's always taking down these contests, utilizing our projections. Got first and second place, $25 and $50. We had some more SuperDraft success over there. Projections have continued to be fire, and this guy has absolutely been crushing it on prize picks. Turned $100 into $1,000. I'm going to go over my favorite prize pick at the very end of this video, guys. If you haven't signed up, first of all, you get a promo code just for watching this video. Enter code using DGF for a 100% matchup to $100. And like I said, guys, a lot of prize picks projections are put out on Patreon, so hopefully you guys can utilize that as well. We had another close takedown here, $60 on MLB, and then to end it all, $9 turned into $151 on the night. So another close takedown there on NBA. All right. Now let's focus on the slate. So first thing I like to cover is, first of all, the injury report, but nothing really going on throughout the NBA. Pretty much the exact same injury report that we've seen over the past couple days. Milwaukee, just Giannis, really nothing going on there with Miami. And then with Phoenix, we have Nader officially out, and then Barton and Dozier officially out for Denver. So it doesn't really impact the picture as a whole. Let's go ahead and start game by game. Going to start out with Milwaukee, and let's see if we can find some mispricings here throughout the slate. I'll help you guys identify the best value. Keep in mind, this game, last game, Milwaukee blew the doors off of Miami. I don't even know what the final score was, 132 to 98. So nearly a 40-point victory here for Milwaukee. All right, so I want you guys to consider this. It is now a home game for Miami, and Vegas says Milwaukee's supposed to win by 1 single point. So we're going to assume this game is going to be close. That's going to heavily change the impact of ownership, okay? Because last game, I believe people are going to use recency bias. The ownership in general should be lower than what it's supposed to be on this game. Keep in mind, this is the second highest game total, and the Bucks are projected to score the most points on the slate. So the pace of this game is pretty close to one of the highest paced games on the slate, there with Denver and Portland. Okay, take that in consideration. Don't use recency bias. Miami should keep this game close, and I'll tell you why that is very relevant as we go over this Miami roster. But starting with Milwaukee, yes, DiVincenzo is still one of my favorite value plays. Comes up to a 5.9 point per dollar value, averages 0.9 fantasy points per minute in 33 minutes. So at 5K, definitely like that point per dollar value. And then Brook Lopez continues to be very low owned, and he did not have the best game last game. Again, only playing 23 minutes. Keep in mind, again, blowout potential. This game's supposed to be relatively close. So if he was out there for 36 minutes, just like the first game, he's dropping 30 DK points. Yet another good fantasy point per minute player. 4.7K. I think this is a great value of 5.8 point per dollar value. Giannis was the reason of the blowout. 31 projected, or he played 31 minutes in the last game and scored 65 points. So yes, Giannis is going to carry about 20 to 30% ownership in GPPs. 10.9K. I don't believe that's too pricey. He is going to be yet another good play. Drew Holiday got a price decrease. I actually like his value now, even more so than what I've been liking on him. 7.6 point per dollar value. Besides Giannis, I do like Drew Holiday, 5.4 point per dollar value. But keep in mind his ownership's going to stay low. So just GPP options here for Drew Holiday and also Chris Middleton. The rest of these guys' minutes are a little dispersed throughout the bench players. Not really fans of these guys outside the bigger GPPs. All right, let's talk about Miami. Miami has to win this game. They are a 1-point underdog at home. This is going to be a very competitive game, okay? It should be. That being said, Bam Adebayo got a price decrease. Jimmy Butler got a price decrease. Give me all the Bam and Jimmy Butler exposure in this contest. If they aren't chalky, I'm gonna be so overexposed to these guys. I'm gonna take down all the GPPs because Bam Adebayo is still a 1.3 fantasy point per minute player. He's projected 37 minutes. If he's actually out there for 37 minutes, he's a 6.3 point per dollar value and by far one of the best values on the slate at a 7.5K price tag. Okay, he is the best play on the slate. Bam Adebayo at 7.5K is the best play on the slate. I hope I convinced you because Jimmy Butler is the second best player on the slate at a 6.2 point per dollar value, 8.4K. If these guys actually play over 35 minutes, let's just take a look at their game log. Don't look at last game. 41 minutes, hit value. 33 minutes, we're not going to look at that because he didn't play over 35 minutes. 35 minutes, he dropped 48. 35 minutes, he hit value at 42. Okay, let's look at another game where he got over 35. 37 minutes, he hit 41. And every single game he's played over 35 minutes, he hits value. If this game remains competitive, he will hit value. Okay? Want to nail that into your heads. Same thing with Jimmy Butler. I'm not going to show you the game logs. You guys just have to believe me that Jimmy Butler is a baller and close games. All right, the rest of this roster, though. Goran Dragic, 30 minutes, 5.1K price tag. Comes out to a 5.6 point per dollar value. Averages over a fantasy point per minute. So, yes, I do like him as well. And the rest of these role players, I mean, I don't hate them, again, for just a plug and play, but these guys are just shooters. Ariza, not a great fantasy point per minute player, but he's continued to play a lot of minutes in these playoffs. 34 projected minutes is what we have him at right now. Duncan Robinson, same exact thing, 32 projected minutes, 4.6K, 5.1 point per dollar value. Those are my next favorite options, and their ownership should be relatively low. Duncan Robinson had a great first game. And I think these guys are cash viable if you land on them as the last piece. Again, supposed to be a competitive game, and these guys are projected a lot of minutes. All right, let's focus on the rest of the slate, though, with Phoenix. All right, the big question is, how is Chris Paul going to look in this contest? I think it's a big question mark, and then for the majority of your contest, I think you avoid him. 7.4K, he only played 23 minutes in the last game, and yes, it was because of a shoulder injury. I think you can avoid him pretty confidently. I think the ownership's going to be low enough so where you can avoid him in a majority of contests, including small GPPs and in cash games. That being said, Devin Booker is going to be a player that's supposed to step up in this mix. I like him for cash, 5.6 point per dollar value, and Mikal Bridges is projected 38 minutes. Don't hate him as the last piece. He's just not that productive. I like the minute upsides, just don't like the pace of the game here. They're only projected to score 102 points, and the Lakers are actually 7-point favorites here at home. And I think a lot of that is because of Chris Paul being injured, and unfortunately, he's not going to be giving us his full minutes. Who knows, though? He could be a good GPP option at 7.4K. Like, if he is fine in this next game, if they pump some steroids into his body and he happens to be okay, suits up and plays full strength, then yes, 7.4K, 35 projected minutes is a great projection for Chris Paul. The rest of these guys I don't have real interest in. DeAndre Ayton, I do prefer Bam Adebayo on the specific slate than DeAndre Ayton, but he continues to ball out. Projected right now 35 minutes. He played 37 and 42 against Anthony Davis, and he just goes out and does his job. Gets those rebounds, does pretty well in defense, and stays out of foul trouble, and that's all you really need him to do to hit value right now at 6.3K price tag. I think he's also undervalued. I actually don't mind a Bam Adebayo and DeAndre Ayton stack if you happen to go with one of those two in the center and then util spot. So, yeah, I don't mind him. He's probably my favorite option here out of this team, but I do prefer Devin Booker, Bridges, cash options if you happen to land on them as the last piece. The Lakers. Lakers are going to be all GPP options just because of their price tags. We saw Anthony Davis break the slate wide open. Last contest dropped 67 points in 40 minutes. They needed that from one of the two of LeBron James or Anthony Davis. LeBron James didn't do bad as well, but again, at their price tags, one of those two is going to have a ceiling game. It's not going to be both of them just because of the pace of the game. They're only projected to score 109 points, so just GPP options. But yes, I do like these guys for GPPs given the pace of this game. Let's go down here to Denver at Portland. Portland, last but not least, Michael Porter Jr. continues to be a good fantasy point per minute player and a good value play at a 5.6 point per dollar value, 7.1K price tag, and 37 projected minutes. Definitely don't mind him here in this contest. Pace up spot here for all of Denver, and I expect his ownership to continue to be in that 30 to 40% range in bigger GPPs. Monty Morris just doesn't play as many minutes here at that value. If he gets hot, then yes, I do like him, and he has gotten hot here. Projected 27 minutes. He did play 30 in his last contest at a 4.2K price tag. I don't hate him as the last piece, but I do prefer some of these other value plays from the other games. Composite, just GPP. Austin Rivers now is getting a price increase. Gonna probably be avoiding him because he's strictly just a shooter, not a good fantasy point per minute player. So just GPPs here. Unfortunately for Austin Rivers, we were all over him last game because he was so cheap. Got that price increase, 4.1K, not that appealing. And then Jokic is actually going to make for another contrarian build. He's just a safe pay up option at 10.7K. But since the build is going to be a middle of the road build today, then Jokic is going to make for a very contrarian play. And I think people are going to gravitate towards Giannis just because of the upside there. I think Jokic is going to be under-owned, probably about 20% ownership if I had to guesstimate. Again, we'll have ownership projections for you on our Patreon. But the rest of these guys, just GPP options. We saw Paul Millsap get extended run in the last game. Right now, he's only projected 15 minutes. I think that was just because it's the game started to get out of hand. At 3.9K, if you want to take a stab at him, definitely don't hate that, especially if he's playing 20-plus minutes. Last but not least here, Portland Trailblazers. I actually really do like the value plays here as well. So many center options. There's Ayton, there's Bam Adebayo, and then there's Nurkic, who technically is the best point per dollar value on the slate. I don't like his matchup as much as the other guys on the slate, but comes out to a 6.4 point per dollar value, averaging over 1.3 fantasy points per minute if he's going to continue to be out there for 30-plus minutes. And yes, I do like him. Again, the game got out of hand last game, so he only played 25 minutes. I expect 30-plus minutes from him again in this contest. Robert Covington. 35 projected minutes. He's a horrible fantasy point per minute player, 0.78. I don't really know why he continues to start for this team. He's just not that productive. It's really frustrating because he rates very well on their sheet, and he continues to rate very well, but his usage is literally horrible. 8.5 usage, 8% usage, and then an 8.1% usage in his last 3 contests. Not a fan of Covington, but as a last piece, I think his ownership is going to be relatively high just because he does rate well on every single optimizer ever. Right now, I have him pinned for 27.3 DK points and a 6.2 point per dollar value, so don't hate him as a last piece, but again, just a very frustrating player just from a fantasy point per minute perspective. CJ McCollum, 7.3K. Don't hate him for GPP. Same thing with Damian Lillard. Like, these guys continue to put up really good numbers. They've hit value every time they've been given minutes in their last 2 contests. Like, Damian Lillard's obviously the man. 59 and 68.5 in his past 2 contests. Projected 40 minutes on the dot. So love those 2 players. And they both make for a very contrarian build. Last but not least, let's talk about Norman Powell at 5.4K. The exact same kind of rant I have for him as I do with Robert Covington. Averages slightly more fantasy points per minute at a 5.4K price tag. But guys, look at the production. It's all red. He's not hitting value. Again, these guys are going to show decently on the sheet. I consider them for GPPs, but like given the playoffs, it's going to be just Nurkic, McCollum, and Lillard taking all the shots, and I think that's going to be the general direction. If they want to beat Denver, they're going to have to be, they're going to have these guys shooting the ball the entire game. So not a fan of these guys. Maybe Anthony Simons as a low-owned GPP dart at 3.1K. He played 23 minutes in his first game, played like 30 in his last game, but that was just because the game was getting out of hand. But if you're looking for a last value, please, from this game, I'm only going to be on just the studs here from this team. But I think that pretty much wraps up the entire slate. I'm going to give you guys a general direction of what a majority of people are going to be going to, what I'm going to be doing in small GPPs and cash. You guys seem to like that theme. So let's go ahead and take a look at the board. If I'm playing tonight, I'm starting a double center build here. I'm going to lean Nurkic and Bam Adebayo just because they're the best fantasy point per minute player. You can go Ayton and one of those 2, but I'm going to believe in Adebayo's upside tonight. I think they have to win this game. And again, they have to step it up with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. So I'm starting out with just those 2. Nurkic, Adebayo. Let's go Jimmy Butler. Same exact reason as Adebayo. And again, if you're playing bigger GPPs, you're going to have one of the 2 of Butler or Adebayo. Just given their price tag, it's going to be very hard for both of them to slam value. But again, just big GBPs. I'm playing small GBPs. That's generally what I play. So I can comfortably put both of these two guys in there and have them pay off their value. Covington's going to be the next guy on the list. I'm going to hold off on him just to see what that looks like. I'm going to put in DiVincenzo, and let's go ahead. DiVincenzo, and throw in... Let's put in Bridges. I like Bridges today. I have $5,700 left over for these players. Man, and even Brook Lopez looks good at the center position. So you can go any one of those 4 different guys at the center position. Booker. Let's put Booker in there. Can I put Booker in there? It's going to force me to put in Covington in it. Yeah, I'm probably going to have to. Yep. The rest of my build's going to be just value plays, and then a guard play at $4,600. Let's see who that leaves me with. Duncan Robinson. Yeah, don't hate that. Yeah, so that's a good build. Now, that's primarily going to be for GBPs because I do think that, like, Duncan Robinson, Devin Booker, maybe even Covington will be a little bit lower owned. Like, there's very, very little value here on the slate. So I think, you know, I guess Robert Covington could be a little bit higher owned. Same thing with Bridges. But, again, GPP lineup here, I think DiVincenzo isn't going to carry that much ownership as well at that 5K price tag just because people see that price increase. People are stupid. He's going to produce as long as the game does stay close. All right, last but not least, let's talk about prize picks. Again, use code DGF for 100% matchup to $100 if you haven't already. I think 2 of the 3 premium picks hit yesterday. The one I gave out on the YouTube video did not because it was a blowout. Unfortunately, Thibault got extended run and just played like 25 minutes, of course, because I recommended his play on prize picks. That's exactly what is bound to happen, right, guys? But I think Anthony Simons hits the over here on 10.5. Just because right now we haven't projected at 20 minutes, between 15 and 20 minutes, and fantasy point per minute wise, he's close to a fantasy point per minute, fairly productive, and shoots a lot. So I think 10.5 right now, we haven't projected at like 13 fantasy points. I think that's pretty accurate. I think he hits the over on 10.5. And that will wrap up my video, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy this video. If you did, please do hit that subscription button, notification bell, and of course smash that like button for all of our future NBA content. With all that being said, have a great rest of your day, and let's cash.